everybody, it's Lexi from Para Primos, and I am back with another video talking about another Dramione fanfic. This one was an unexpected favorite of mine now, because I was really wary about it. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'll really like this one. It is called I Will Make You Proud, and this one was highly requested to read. It was one of the popular ones, but knowing what the kind of like the premise, like the little bit about it that I knew, kind of threw me off, so I really wasn't like quick to want to read it. It was definitely on my TBR, and it was, you know, kind of farther down there in the list, just because if you hear about it, the first thing when you're reading about like a little summary about it, it's basically Hermione's in awe. She finds Draco Malfoy dead. It threw me off. I was just like, what? I'm all about the Dramione endgame, happily ever after. I really like the dark fics, of course, that kind of put me like on a little emotional roller coaster, to where it's like, okay, it can be a happy ending, but it can also be like, depending on how you look at it, like I don't mind those. But as far as relationship wise, I just always want them together, to be able to find their way together, things like that. And that just kind of already threw me off, like, well, he's dead, what's gonna happen? But what made me go back to it, I was like, let me look at the tags, because you really should pay attention to the tags, because they reveal things that don't ruin the whole story for you. And in the tag, it showed time travel, and I was like, wait a minute. Time travel? I'm like, I can get behind that, because that to me is like, okay, it's a possibility of something happening. I was like, okay, let me make a video on TikTok real quick, just asking, just to make sure, like, is it worth the read? Because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and then I'd be disappointed. So I was like, okay, let me ask. So I put it out there. I got a lot of comments saying, yes, read it. I put on my stories on Instagram. People were like, yeah, it's good, read it. So I was like, finally, I'm like, why not just try it? And oh my God, if I would have just not read this one, I would have missed out on such a good fanfic. This has quickly become at my top, and I have like 3 tops so far, and now I have 4. And it's like, I can't pick which one. It's like, they're all so different. They're just so good. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like out of all of them, the ending of this one is probably my favorite out of all the ones I've read. And you know, I love Manacled and I love Secrets and Masks. They're like my top. Like, they're like the same as far as favorite. But the ending of this one, oh my gosh, it was such a different ending compared to the other ones that I've read. And it's like, you know, yeah, you could have like a happy ending, whatever, finish it all up, but this one was just like a different way of going about it that just gave me all like the warm and fuzzies inside, and I just kept crying. Like, I had literally like happy tears when I was reading this freaking ending. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And I wasn't expecting that. So pleasant surprise of an ending. It starts out with Hermione's in awe, and she's investigating a crime, the suicide at Hogshead. The owner didn't know who it was. They didn't even get a chance to look. They were just like, oh my God, they saw the person hanging there, and then just ran off, called DMLE to come. So that's when they assigned Hermione, because she, I think at the time, was like available to do it. Everybody else was kind of busy, so she just said, oh yeah, I'll do it, whatever. So she goes and she investigates, and she finds out when she gets into the room and looks at the body, it is Draco Malfoy hanging in the corner of in the room. And she just gasps. She's just like, oh my God. And she kind of freaks out for a minute. She hasn't seen him in so long, since he left Hogwarts and like escaped after Dumbledore's passing. All she knew was he was on the run and just like wreaking havoc everywhere. And he's actually the one who killed Voldemort in this one. So that was interesting. He was kind of like made up of like a hero in a way because of that. But then he also went on this killing spree, and nobody was able to catch him. She knew that about him, that he was like, okay, he's bad, obviously, doing all this crazy stuff and just killing people. To see him there, it was just like, what happened? Like, she felt sad for him. It was just like, to end in such a tragic way like that, just what made him do that? And as she's looking around the room, she sees a bunch of diaries on the bed. They have his name on them. And then she also finds like a bag full of his memories, so like different vials of his memory. So that automatically gets investigated, and she is the first on the case, of course, so she starts investigating and looking into the memories. They try to open the diaries. They can't. It's something about them that for some reason she can't open it, and she's curious as to why. And since discovering him there, she has been in like an obsession in a way to try and figure out what happened to him. So she goes on to this journey of watching all these memories, and as she's watching them, she's getting really affected by them, and ends up feeling bad for him, because what a lot of the memories show, it shows his childhood, and you find out in his childhood that he went through a lot of abuse, like really, really severe abuse. And this is actually put head on right in the first chapter. So be prepared. There's gonna be a lot of trauma right in the beginning. And basically Lucius would physically, mentally, everything, abuse him as like a little boy, like just a 6-year-old little boy, just innocent little boy. And he would just sit there kicking him and just pushing him around and punching him, all these crazy things. And then she finds out why he has had such a tragic life because of all the things he went through with his dad. And he was always trying to get approval from his dad and always want his dad to be proud of him, because he felt like nobody loved him. Because at least even when that was happening and he was calling out for his mom, it was like Narcissa was just not even bat an eye. Like, she would not be there for him, not to comfort him, nothing, never stop anything. He would physically abuse him so much that he would break his arm, he'd break his shoulder, he would use the Cruciatus curse on him. It was just crazy things, and you feel so freaking bad for this little boy. And then this like dawns on you, like, no wonder he was such a prick. Like, he's like, look, I can never be approved, like, I never be like accepted by anybody, and so I might as well just have this air about me to where it's just like, nobody's gonna fuck with me. I'm just gonna act like I want to, and I'll just be an asshole to you, and that's it. So it kind of makes that sense for him, why he acts that way in Hogwarts. In this one, it shows that when he's in Hogwarts, he does see Hermione, and he kind of has like a fascination about her. Like, there's things about her that he just likes, and he gets confused. He doesn't understand why. But he feels like he has to protect her, because he finds out that his dad, not only does he want him to befriend Harry to try and get him, obviously, to befriend him, take him to Voldemort, and they're, in good grace with Voldemort, but he also wanted him to befriend Hermione, because he feels like Hermione could be a good weapon for him to try and get to Harry. So the whole time he's like, look, you need to befriend her, that way we can capture her and use her for this, but then they also want to use her for other things. And he was just not about that. He didn't want to do that. He was against that. And he felt like he needed to protect her. So any instances that he came across in school with her, it was like he would try to just stop that from happening, because he knew his dad wanted her. And even though he acted so mean to her, he still would hide in the corners and stuff and just watch her and prevent things from happening. Even though she never knew any of this stuff, he would always prevent those things from happening to her. And Hermione ends up seeing all of this stuff in the memories. So she feels bad, because this whole time she hates him, and she didn't realize, wow, he was actually saving me, because I could have gone through some crazy stuff if I was captured and taken by the Death Eaters. And she starts to feel guilty about it. So she feels so guilty to where she's like, I need to save him. I need to figure out a way to save him. Like, that he should not have committed suicide. He should not have died. Meanwhile, all this stuff that's happening, she keeps, for some reason, getting these seizures. And you find out these seizures, they're for a reason. And that's the cool thing about this one. I feel like there's so many things that happen that end up being answered and coming and making sense at the end. Because once you figure out why she was, it's like, wow. So that's why. It was just so cool to see. Like, she went back, basically figure out a way to go back in time to try and save him from committing suicide. And she does that by going through his memories, because she finds out Snape's actually alive in this one. And she goes to him for help, because Snape actually was like a father figure for Draco during this whole time. He treated him so much like a son in this one. And he needed not only to protect him, but just he felt like that was not just something he promised his mom, Narcissa. It was just something that he felt like he needed to do, because he knew what he was going through. So he was there for him as much as he could be. When Hermione came to him and was like, look, I need to figure out a way. There has to be something I could do. Obviously, time turners, they're all gone. They were destroyed. Kingsley, I guess, destroyed all the time turners, so she couldn't use anything like that. But she came across I guess it was like a dark magic of some sort that Snape told her about. But he said that it's not a good idea, because it might cause the butterfly effect, which is obviously when you change something in history and then it just ripples into a whole bunch of other things that you just changed and not meant to, because that thing was so significant that it just messed everything up. So any slight little thing that you change just can cause this whole effect of just messing everything else up. And she goes through that when she finds out how to come across this potion that he tells her about. She goes through this obstacle of having to kind of sacrifice something of her own to be able to make this potion. And she goes through with it, and when she goes back towards in Hogwarts and tries to change things. She does it like twice. The first time she completely fails. She like goes back in time and fails so bad. Like it's so sweet what happens. It's just like, oh my god, you get all heartwarming. And then she just fucks it all up. because she's trying to help him, she doesn't realize the things that she's doing is going to affect so many things in her present life. Not just from her, it's going to affect everything. So that's where the butterfly effect comes in. It's just she does it. She's so consumed in trying to help him, and she's so like obsessed with him. She feels this strong feelings towards him. She has no idea why, but she's like, I just have to save him. I just can't let him go out this way. This is not fair. Ends up when she goes back in time, she just fixes one thing, but then it turns into something else that just fucks everything up, and then you're freaking out because that's what happened. I'm like, oh my god, I start crying. I'm reading, I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing? So then she goes to a different memory, tries to get out of that situation, goes to a different memory, and then she goes and tries to fix something in there. Then she messes up all that again. It's like something constantly keeps happening where she's just messing things up. She's thinking that she's making everything better, but she doesn't. But at the end of all that, she goes back into present time. And at this time, since she messed everything up the past 2 times, more so the most recent time, that affected her present day. And her present day was horrible. She wakes up in this dungeon and she's enslaved. She finds out Ron is dead. She doesn't know where Harry is. He's disappeared. Her and Ginny are stuck in this dungeon, not know for what reason. All she knows is Lucius is the one in power in this present day. And Voldemort is still dead, but Lucius is the one in power. And he plays as the new Dark Lord, and she's trapped actually in the Malfoy Manor, and she sees Draco. But the thing with Draco is Draco doesn't know who she is at all, because whatever she did in the past time affected his life then, to where Lucius ended up obliviating him and homeschooling him. So he didn't even go to Hogwarts past, I think, 3rd year, I believe. And him obliviating him, he didn't even have any recollection of who Hermione was. So all he saw was Hermione was a mudblood, and she was vermin, treated her like crap, and they used them for certain things that they needed, and that made them rise to power, that you find out that they need her for. He's a completely different person, and she feels like a total like failure. Like what? Now she's completely lost. She lost all the memory vials that she had, the potion she had to get her there. So she's stuck in this predicament now to where she has no idea how to get out of this mess. And you're just like, oh my god, girl, like what are you doing? It's crazy. She ends up getting through to him because he realizes like something about her triggered things in his mind. Because since he knows how to occlude and he knows legitimacy and stuff, he has those memories way back in his mind still. So there's certain things that happen that trigger him. So him just seeing her hair, because that was one thing about this one, he loved her hair. And that was one thing that really stood out to him when he was little, that kind of made him be fascinated about her, was like, oh my god, her hair. So when he saw her in the dungeon and her hair, he's like, wait a minute, I know her from somewhere. And the whole time he's trying to figure out, how does he know her? But finally he ends up remembering, because she actually ends up she shows him her memories, and he can't believe everything that's happening. During this time that she's with him in this disaster of present day that she's living in, she ends up having the diaries and the memory vials given back to her by him. Because he says that, look, when we found you, you had all this stuff. So she didn't lose them. They just took them from her. Once he trusted her and stuff, and he figured out, wow, that you do mean something to me. They looked at the stuff. They were able to open up the diaries. Through the diaries is where you find out how everything happened. Everything before the suicide. And it goes kind of like flashbacks. Kind of reminds me of Mandible with that. Kind of goes from there into the flashbacks of everything. And you start finding out all these different things of how they were together and how long and what happened to basically have Draco get to this certain point. And it is so tragic. There's a chapter in this one that, oh my god, I couldn't stop crying. And it's the chapter that basically has Draco spiraling right before he commits suicide. And it's, oh my god, it's so, ooh, like, you can't help but cry. Like, oh man, that was hard. This one was so well written, I'm telling you. I feel like this one, I couldn't put this one down. And I feel like it's been a while since I felt like that with a fanfic. I've been enjoying the ones I've been reading, right? But this one, I feel like I've got that back, like that excitement, and just like, oh my god, I want to devour this book. And I haven't had that in a while. And when I started reading this one, I'm like, wow, I'm pleasantly surprised that I felt this way, because it's been a while since that. And she just wrote it so well to where you didn't have moments where you felt like, okay, this is like filler. It didn't feel anything like that. It didn't feel rushed. It felt like at a good pace. It felt like everything was answered that you wanted to be answered, and everything made sense at the end as well. Like there was things that were just like, huh, what is that gonna be? You knew it was gonna come from something. You knew that it was gonna end up being something that was gonna be answered, and you couldn't wait to get to that point. But it was such an enjoyable process of how everything was unfolded, and it just all made sense. And it just so cool how it came from one thing to how you thought it was going to be, and then to the end just completely different from what you had thought in the beginning. And it was just, again, a pleasant surprise. And I just couldn't freaking recommend this one enough. And this one made me realize how much I freaking love time travel stuff. Like, I'm a big Back to the Future fan. Love time travel things so much. So this one was amazing, just finding that out. And I love that whole process of going back and messing things up, and then present day and just all that. Oh, so good. And having the romance in it, and it's being, of course, Dramione, like, what? That's amazing. But it just made everything make sense. And then I'm telling you, that ending was just the icing on the cake. It was exactly what it needed. And again, my favorite ending out of all the ones I have read so far. Because I feel like Draco finally got his redemption. He finally had gotten his peace, like true peace. It was not like he had to fight for anything to get to that point. He finally was able to have a regular life and be a regular kid and have the love of his life with him. It just felt like all of this in one. And you wouldn't think that with how the premise of this is. But it gets to that point. But it's just, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, so good. I'm happy that this one, I ended up reading this one because I really was craving that good cry. Like, I needed to cry. Like, I haven't read one that made me really, really cry yet in a while. And I feel like the last one I probably cried for was like Damaged Goods, I feel like. So it was time for that again. Let me know what you think of it. If you read this one, if you're going to read this one, if it threw you off the way it threw me off, and you kind of hesitated for you to even read it, because if you do feel this way, just read it. Please read it. Don't judge a fanfic by, I guess, the synopsis. I don't know. Just read it. Just, if anything, if you don't want to be spoiled, and just look at the little tags, because they're not going to really spoil anything. It's just a little, okay, it makes you feel better. Like, okay, that's how it's, okay, cool. You know, like some people need to be told it's a happy ending at the end. I don't necessarily need to be told that. It's just, I wanted that for this one. I wanted one that was making me cry, but one that was going to also put me back together at the end. Like, rip me to shreds, please, but then just place me back together nicely. Okay? That's all I wanted. And this one did just that. So if you are craving that right now, go and read that. But this has been straight up to the top of the ones I've liked so far. And I can't like rank, I can't like put them, I don't know. It's just this big old bulk that I just love. And this one is one of them. And I'm so happy I read it. But I am now currently on my next read. I believe I'm like 12% into my next read. And it is Bring Him to His Knees. I will be talking about that one next. So if you read that one, let me know. Did you like it? And I'll talk about it in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next time on another book discussion or unboxing or anything like that. Bye.